Hey, RetconRaider here, and welcome back to Battle Brothers Season 3. As today, we keep gobbling up the local defenses as we try to whittle down the guard at Rulgazix, the legendary goblin city. Which we've gotten a start on, at least. We took out one outpost last time around. We've got another on the map right over here. So if we can just track down 3 more, we'll be in pretty good shape, even if we don't take them all out today. I mean, ultimately we'd want to head back to town anyway, before hitting Rulgazix. Offload vendor trash, full resupply, etc. But, you know, one thing at a time. Need to find our targets first. I mean, obviously we'll clear this outpost as well, we're just waiting for nightfall. And we've also got this, Duruk Hartok, the orc tent city. But that's just kind of a lower priority right now. Ooh, okay, here we go. Sharpshooter's camp. Grub neck snapper, a goblin shaman, and some other assorted riffraff. Yeah, that's, you know what, I don't even think we need to wait for nightfall. Though I guess if we're going in with rookies, maybe we should. That would get us up to 3, that plus this other one. As the raiders continued scouting the forests around the fearsome fortress of Rulgazix, they soon heard the rhythmic thump of arrows and other assorted projectiles lancing into targets. Investigating, they stumbled upon a modest goblin camp just outside the confines of one of the other local outposts. Not much to look at, really, just a place where lowly goblin goons were trained in guerrilla warfare. But still, an ideal target. Another means of starving Rulgazix of its soon-to-be much-needed reinforcements. And thus, as evening arrived, the raiders went in. Evening mumbled, as he crouched in the brush. Nah, it's fine, kid, Mal said from nearby. You didn't keep us waiting for long. Best to go into these places at night anyway. Now just keep your head down and follow our lead. And as the goblin guards finally took notice, the raiders rushed in. Though, I mean, really, this is probably about the easiest fight we're going to have today. The shaman might be mildly annoying, but the vast bulk of these guys are going to have a pretty hard time at night. Though someone did mention, apparently goblins can grant night vision to goblin ambushers, so we'll have to keep an eye out for that. I don't think I've ever noticed it before. Since, I suppose, classically, you know, you usually only really see them tossing around vines and bug swarms. As the raiders advanced, one goblin in particular seemed to take charge. He did have a slightly more regal bearing, albeit relatively speaking. The perhaps pretentiously named Grub Neck Snapper, shouting shrill commands as he gesticulated with his bouncing bola. And for their part, the goblin garrison did their best to comply. Finding little luck with their initial barrage, but then came the nets. And the rest of the raiders continued rushing forward. A skirmisher staggering, shoulder pierced. dropping a second later, gurgling as arrow pierced his throat. The shaman behind, faring little better, clutching at fletching sprouted between bloodied ribs. The rabble rallied. Giannis continuing to bear the brunt. And Rook signaled the counteroffensive, stabbing a skirmisher through the leg. Mark firing a moment later, maiming another malcontent. Random rousted a rapscallion on south. And the shaman did indeed lift the veil of darkness from his ally's eyes. Interesting. Interesting. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I guess I just never really watched for it before. Not that it slows our roll. Giannis yeeting the head off another interloper. Going for grub. Mal moves in, first to breach the barricade. Evening, engaging on north. Giannis finally pushing in, eager for some payback. As is Seymore, though he'll have to wait a few moments more. A brief but pitched exchange. Punctuated by Mark's musket. A bevy of brutal injuries dispersed. And finally, the root issue returns. Not that it really slows the raiders all that much. A ne'er-do-well on north already trying to escape. Another falling on south, skewered through. As does the one on north. Run through by Rook. Giannis defaces their de facto leader, though he does still just barely stand. Mal continues mauling his way up the line. The shaman shorn. And Grub himself, good as gone. Evening descends upon another. The goblin still stands, but things are going dark. And the final few foes begin their fighting withdrawal. Hoping, perhaps, that Grub will hold out just long enough to let them make their exit. Too late for that one, at least. Mark repositioning, readying another round. Diego darting in. Leaving a lout for evening. Seymore surges forth, pinning down the last three. And Grub's gone. Neck snapped. Mal moving past, shouldering another load. Evening impales another through the face. Positioned to potentially get 2 free kills. I mean, he could have probably finished the first one, but I figured why not improve his odds. Though really, at this point, we're just doing cleanup. Fight's over. They just haven't finished falling down. Hey, there we go. Pretty sure Evening got that one. Alright, let's wrap this up. Also, yes, Evening did get one. As did Seymore. Guess I missed that. So who will claim the final 3? Diego dispatches 1. Seymore steps up, working out some frustration perhaps from being constantly ensnared. And Evening. Which brings this relatively simple fight to an end. Seymore actually getting a level, which I think puts him at soft cap. So doubly worth our time. Oh, wow. Okay, well, make that triply worth our time now. For we have also claimed the monumental headpiece. Looks to be a mid-tier named. Honestly, kind of hard to say where that would fit in. Maybe on someone like Evening, perhaps. Who's not likely destined for super heavy armor. And yeah, we also pulled Grubneck Snapper's Pole, which is no big deal, but we'll take it. That's good coin. And on we go. 2 outposts down. 3 to go. And yes, Seymore did hit soft cap, which should be pretty straightforward. He's basically following the same build as Giannis, which means Frenzy and Duelist. Yep, that tracks. That should actually be pretty huge because he's already rocking that super heavy Orc Cleaver. And final full stat gain. Okay, I mean, not awful. Would have been nice to pull more on melee, but 75's respectable. Max the rolls on defense, so I mean, obviously we're taking both of those, but I do feel like, given that we are in fact rocking that Orc Cleaver, we should probably go ahead and grab that one last max roll in fatigue. Yeah, that's fine. We can always bump up melee with legacy levels. Congratulations, Seymore. You're not like top tier, but I'd say you're still pretty solid. Let's go ahead and rearrange, make sure everyone gets some time out in the field. Oh, we've got to tag Doug back in at some point, too. He only has a very finite amount of time with us, so I would like to get him into as many fights as possible, just not, while he's already injured. Though, speaking of fights, can we actually hit this before daybreak? Cutting it pretty close. Ah, no. Alright, fair enough. Though, I mean, really, this one's mostly just skirmishers and wolf riders. So going in during the day is not necessarily a bad idea. Not really sure what we're doing with this helmet just yet. Might toss it to evening, but I mean, really, this one here feels like it fits him better once he has the fatigue. We'll have to give that some thought. But regardless, yeah, let's go ahead and take this place down. With the wilderness camp culled, the raiders doubled back, sights set upon another sinister outpost. The pointed palisades no longer packed quite so tightly with pesky peltists. Oof, 21 strong though. Definitely starting to ramp up. Not anticipating too much trouble here. Our biggest threat's going to be the Overseer and any potential armor puncturing stabs we might take once we're really stuck in there. The arrows we can mostly ignore because honestly, even our lightest guys now can weather those pretty well. With, I suppose, Seymore being the most vulnerable. Another brief but pitched exchange. The Goblin Overseer goading his followers forward to man the garrison, to somehow stall the approaching storm. Obviously a futile effort, though the raiders did note a few pesky pack riders around the edges, just waiting for their chance to circle wide, to move in on the raiders' back line. Ooh, goodness. Zarmal stumbling back, a super heavy crossbow bolt glancing off his brow, but otherwise largely leaving him unscathed. Thankfully, the nimble knife fighter was able to avoid full impact. The rest of the raiders moving in, including the back line, since of course they were wary of those wolves. And there was no shaman on this one to really slow them down. It'll mostly just be those nets, which I would like to take some of, but honestly I don't really see that happening, because they're throwing them away out of pure spite, which isn't technically untrue. Alois bringing up the rear. And deprived of easy targets, the doggos dithered about. Oh, or maybe not. As they suddenly darted out to the sides. Though giving the raiders so much space that they might as well be out of the fight entirely, because I mean that's going to be like 2 full rounds to engage. A volley from Valen, another foe felled. Arrow advances. Still eyeing those wolves. Diego darting forward. Disentangling Zarmal. Seymore struggling free on south. Alois advancing. A blast brutally disemboweling a blackguard. Oof. Rook briefly staggered. But he is not but bruised, thanks to the reinforced bone plate. Verlin vaults forth on south. Rook rushing the wall, finding cover from more bolts. Seymore briefly considering aiding Rax, but there's no real practical way to do that, so he moves up instead, engaging the enemy archers. Mal moves in as well. And Rax, barely hindered by the bulky net wrapped around him, simply bodies the two closest cads. Only real downside is all those extra hits he's soaking up in the meantime are going to be a pain to repair. Which is, of course, really the main reason we need to go resupply before we make our final approach on Rulgazix. We're already running pretty low on tools. The Wolf Riders continued working their way around. One actually finding its way to Valin. Okay, not gonna lie, that was a whole lot quicker than I expected. Oh, I'm also going to say, probably didn't play out the way he hoped it might. Nicely done, Val. Alois angled another shot. Another skirmisher extinguished. Oh, though he does take a few hits in return. Arrow ignoring the approaching riders. Instead, cutting down another cad, and then angling towards center line. Random moving to intercept. Verlin finished his flanking. Sigmar surging south, repelling the rider. Seymore slicing his way to the Overseer. Then, halfway through, and Rook finishing him off. The Overseer now overseen. The rest of his retinue no doubt soon to run. Though, as ever, the raiders would try to cut them off. Zarmal knifed one near center. Riders continuing to circle on south. Really didn't think they'd stick around. Arrow engaged. A feeble fusillade failing to find purchase. Val swiftly returning the favor. Another wolf felled. Alois advanced. Random. Hey, Kaiser. What's up, buddy? Wrecking two more riders. Well, hello there. Thank you for the delivery. Kaiser likes to deliver toys as tribute. Bye. Arrow freed himself up. Verlin eviscerating an aggressor. Diego as well. Rax wrecking yet one more, then rushing the escaping archers. And so it went. The raiders running down the last few louts, even as they sought to make good their escape. Seymore claiming one. Sarmal unhanding another. The backline setting their sights on the single remaining rider. Verlin swept the south. Oh, Sigmar, buddy, come on, man. Mal moving to assist. And Rax. Too tired for a full swing, but still slaughtering one. Random wrecked some fingers. Seymore headed one off. Rax removed yet one more. And, yeah, the Raiders took a moment to mop things up. I think we've got this. Honestly, if they were halfway gone, I'd just let them go. You know, not worth the chase, but I feel like these are all pretty easy kills. We already had people in position. Val axing one out. Arrow angling. Oh, just out of reach. Okay, that one might get away. Though Alois might be able to... Yep, there we go. And thus, the third outpost falls. A relatively smooth slaughter, though a few of the raiders walk away with valuable lessons learned. And not much to speak of on loot, but that's fine. There's not much room left in the wagon anyway. Grabbing some supplies and silver coins. The raiders swiftly moved on. 2 targets yet remained. And then, of course, Rulgazix beyond. And we've got 2 legacy levels to take care of, but as ever, that's likely very straightforward. Melee, double defense. Likewise, San Diego. No real question there. And on we go. Let's see if we can find number 4. We'll double back, do another line. But then I think once we get back towards the mountains, we'll detour back to Damwald. Get ourselves set for that final surge. Honestly, we're making faster progress than I really thought we would. Though we are also seeing targets that aren't really on our list. You know, it does feel weird to bypass... Oh, wait a second, hold on. Nosy Grub, okay, target number 4. Oh boy, and that's a... See, that would actually be a bit of a fight. One probably best left for Nightfall? Honestly, just weird to see a goblin fortress right next to an orc camp. Though I guess we are in the midst of the greenskin invasion, so you know all bets are off. Let's put a pin in that one for the moment. I'd like to see if we can maybe find some easier targets, if we can get 2 easy ones. I mean, look, we could probably take it, but I'm really just trying to avoid injuries at this point. You know, we're right on the cusp of our next legendary target. Rotting Bones Rest. Lots of ancient honor guards. Interesting. Interesting to see Imperial ruins so close to the Goblin cities, but I guess thematically it does make sense because it did mention that the Goblins seem to have built on top of pre-existing ruins. In fact, that might explain why they diverged so heavily from their Orcan brethren. Orcs themselves may have been influenced by the barbarians of the north, but I think it's safe to say the Goblins likely took more after the ancient empire. Perhaps modeling their own civilization after what they found in those Imperial ruins. Certainly an interesting thought. A voice seeps into the darkness. Wherever she is, your mother knows she abandoned you. Wherever I am, you know I would love you as greatly as her absence has harmed you. I will mother you to power, sellsword. I will feed you the milk of life from... You snap awake to a bright green hue and slap it out of your face. Seymore falls to the ground, and beside him, the Grand Diviner's flail clangs. The sellsword shakes his head, and his eyes widen as he looks around, confused. What? How did I get here? You stare at the flail, watching as the viridian glow shimmers and then dims, a grotesque chuckling echoing as it fades. Oh, good, we're doing this again. You know, I really do wonder if they ever plan to implement that actually going somewhere, because that's 3 separate events we've seen now, all implying that the Grand Diviner isn't quite as dead as he might have otherwise seemed. And, you know, given that the developers are clearly still working on new content, I would love to see that get some closure. Though, you know, even as it is, it's still fun to just have some general weird vibes. The occasional esoteric or eldritch injection into our otherwise relatively grounded dark fantasy fare. Jagged Fang's hideout. You know, not what we're looking for, but it is a very easy target, and we could use supplies. Plus, again, not many opportunities to bust out the new guys. Ooh, especially since Douglas is actually fully recovered now. Yeah, let's get you in the mix. With food running light, the raiders did the rational thing and set their sights on easy prey. Perhaps not the most ideal place to go seeking meat, but there was no denying that orcs were, if nothing else, fairly efficient butchers. And thus the raiders lived up to their namesake, raiding a convenient camp and perhaps sating Doug's bloodlust in the process. The so-called Orc Slayer had started to grow antsy during his time on the bench. Oh yeah, this'll be a nice quick one. Which is fine, good way to wrap the episode, I think. Though I really would have liked to get a 4th outpost. That is a bit of a shame. The burly brutes bull rushed forth, the raiders stepping up to meet them. misting their front line with blood and burnt flesh. The rest of the raiders rushing in, covering their new companion's approach, strictly controlling points of contact. Yeah, that's fine. And the brutal beatdown began in earnest. Tripping one up. Ooh. Blood drawn from Drakiith, but, he's uniquely suited to recoup that loss. Tommy took one through the throat, but left it standing for evening. Drak topping himself and an enemy off at the same time, albeit in perhaps, slightly different ways. Random racking the Berserker backline. Wrestle reinforcing the south. Seymore lent an ear. Evening felled once more. Trip chipped. Mark moved up. Bold, but probably fine. Tommy throwing in as well. Yeah, that's fair. Wrestled another to the ground. Rook repelling one more. Drak jumping in. Yeah, that's too dangerous for evening. One he could handle, but two is a bit much. And look at that. By random happenstance, now there is but one. Alright, evening. Go ahead and get in there. Doug uncaged two. Seymore slaughtering one beside. Mark meleeed up, just to be safe. But honestly, this guy wasn't likely to pose a threat for much longer. Oh, yeah, we're fine. And the raiders wrap things up. Drak disarming the fourth to last. The gutless goon trying to go. But evening felled. Oh, as did Berserker number 3. Nice chain kill there. And it was all but over. The Raiders running down the last. With probably Arrow getting the kill. Oh, maybe not. Diego claiming the final kill. Sadly, no level ups this time around, though some decent XP gain on evening, which is, of course, what we want to see. And a very modest amount of supplies. Yeah, I guess Berserkers just don't really stock up. Which, you know, thematically, I suppose makes sense. Orcs aren't exactly creatures known for their foresight. Alright, well, I guess that really reinforces the idea that we do indeed need to head back towards Damwald. But we do still have some supplies, so we could maybe, like, linger a little longer. Peel off another layer or two, at least on the edge. Yeah, we'll just maybe thin this thicket. Okay, actually, you know what? That's pretty much perfect. As the Raiders angled their way back towards Overberg, they almost literally stumbled across one last Goblin camp, and a small one at that. It no doubt served as a point guard, a perimeter defense perhaps, meant to monitor for reprisals from the cities the Goblins would raid. And knowing that they were apt to be coming back this way themselves, that gave the Raiders all the more reason to raze it to the ground. Perhaps not the most exciting fight, but between that and the one other outpost they had spied in passing, that would put them in pretty much perfect position to then raid Rulgazix itself. And yeah, you know what? We're going to run a little long, but let's go ahead and knock it out real quick. Because I would much prefer to wrap the episode once we're actually back in town. That way I can deal with all the logistics and bookkeeping and such off screen. Just hold a sec for evening. That's probably fine. Let's drive these guys out. Once again, neath cover of night, the Raiders crept towards their cowardly foes. Spied at the last moment, perhaps by the Overseer's beady eyes. But far too late to really make much difference, as the Raiders broke out into full sprint. Arrow on point. Two points, really. Both sunk through an ambusher's spleen. Rassel running in right after. Diego darting in on north. And so it went. The Raiders wasting no time in working their way forth. Evening hanging back just slightly. Neath cover of night. Yeah, this'll be quick. But you know, you never know. We might luck out, get something really nice from this. And I mean, honestly, the big get is just checking off outpost number 4. Balin gave one the shaft. And Zarmal secured the gate. The rest of the raiders soon to follow. Though some did circle wide. Alois engaged. Oh, goodness. Okay. I was really hoping the palisade would help prevent that. Rook, briefly staggered by Burly Bolt. Malafnoy moving in. All right. Getting a bit careless here. Let's adjust. Last thing we need is to take actual injuries from what should be a simple skirmish. My fault for trying to rush. Sigmar stabbed, but thankfully rolling with it. Yeah, see, that's where Sigmar has the advantage. It's those armor-piercing hits you really have to watch out for, but nimble bros do weather them a bit better than your full-on heavies. Shoot. Val re-evaluated. Diego darting around on north, finding another way in. Arrow ended an annoyance. Rook riposted, leaving an enemy unarmed. Tug advanced, deciding Zarmal was on his own. A bit rude, but, you know, evening's right there. There we go. Zarmal taking a hands-off approach. The fiendish foes began their inevitable fighting withdrawal. One randomly caught before he could. Diego dashing in. Rook removing another threat. Mal gently ribbed a rapscallion. Arrow. Advanced. Rassel freed them up on south. In more ways than one. Evening. And Seymore surged forth. Zarmal zapping another. Yeah, fight's pretty much over. The Overseer is still technically a threat, though. We could potentially take a point-blank shot. Nope, we're good. Let's wrap this up. Seymore slaughtered skirmishers on south. The Overseer engaged. Arrow. Oh, sorry. He's fine. Skirmisher Zarmald. Overseer impaled. Oh, light ding on evening. Second to last, loses face. And the Overseer breaks. The fight all but through. Yeah. Can't really blame him for going gutless. All this violence can be hard to stomach. But no worries. Won't really have to worry about it anymore. And that's Outpost 4. Obviously not much of a fight, though we did have a bit of a cluster there towards the beginning, but, you know, no real harm done, I think. Got some minor loot. Still not much in the way of supplies, so yeah, I guess goblins, or greenskins in general, just don't really drop much as far as actual usable tools go. Which I guess is fine. We're already halfway back to town anyway. Honestly, just really kind of stoked that we happened to stumble across one last outpost en route. Because, yeah, that actually leaves us in great shape for next time round. I mean, I don't know if we're going to be able to tackle Rulgazix in the next episode, but it is a distinct possibility. But I'll just let future retcon worry about that. For now, we head back to Damwald. Oh, well, yeah, we are seeing a ton of patrols out here. Nothing I'm really keen to attack, but we can certainly see the greenskin invasion is ramping up. Oh, shoot, right. Okay, sorry, no, it's not Damwald. We need to go to Oberberg to collect our pay. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. No point in staying here, especially not at night. Not like we can resupply. Oh yeah, and look at that food. We headed back just in time. If we dallied even a little longer, we would have run short. That said, nicely done, Raiders. Not I mean, we only really had the one like tough fight, I think, today. The one real outpost we took down. But honestly, still some great progress. Seymore hitting soft cap. A couple of other legacy levels added to the pile. Got our new guys out in the field a few times. Pulled that new helmet. The mid-tier. And, you know, 4 outposts banked. With number 5 on our map, though that will be a bit of a fight. That said, we'll hit the pause button for now. I'll go ahead and take care of all the off-screen bookkeeping, and we will pick up here next time. We've got the greenskins on the run. Just need to finish gobbling them up. See you then. Oh, and special thanks to the Raiders, the fine folks who help make these videos possible, including but not limited to Eerie V23, Revenant, Alois, Bowman, Drakiith, EgonAlter, Exsellsior, Gottlieb, James Trimmier, Lady Shayna, Mark Giemza, RandomPassrby, RobbyB, Triphoppenskip, and Valinrook. Thanks for your support, guys. That said, if you'd also like to help support the channel, then feel free to push the buttons that do the things. Trust me, it does make a difference. Or you could even check out the PayPal, the Patreon, the Nexus GG, or the YouTube memberships. Links are in the description.